What's poppin' guys, and welcome to a brand new series called 3 Ways to Build. In these videos, we are going to be taking a Minecraft idea or concept and build it 3 different ways. The idea behind building it 3 different ways is to explore different levels of complexity and detail in these various projects and finding the one that works best for you. Think of it kind of like Goldilocks. The first build is going to be very small, very simplistic, and very easy to put together in survival. The second of the 3 builds is going to go in the complete opposite direction. We're going to go all out with the detail, all out with the decoration and complexity, and make something that is massive, but still fitting within the theme, of course. And the last build of the 3 is going to be a hybrid of the 2. Not literally, as it is still going to be a different build than the others, but I want to find something that strikes a good middle ground. You know, still able to be constructed in survival without spending 100 million hours, but it's still got a good bit of complexity and retains a lot of really important details and aspects of the original idea. And if you were wondering why we're hanging out back at the old medieval trading city, there is a very important reason for that. Today's first episode is going to be looking at Tudor houses. For those of you who don't know, a Tudor house is an old European style of building a house that looks a lot like these, where you have a smaller ground floor and then a second floor that actually kind of juts out from beyond the footprint of the ground floor. You'll see a lot of materials like white plaster, dark wood, and varying different colors of stone on the roof and maybe even on the bottom levels. I really think that the contrast between the white walls and the darker roof and wood color is really nice to look at, and overall I'm just a very big fan of the design. So before we get into our 3 ways to build, let's look at a couple different real-life examples of Tudor houses. So I've got a few different examples here, and you can see that some of the most iconic defining characteristics of any of these houses are, first of all, the color palette. You'll see that a lot of the exterior walls are very light color, like white, and we've got these kind of trim and bordering elements that are often black or a dark brown, maybe like a dark oaky kind of wood color. You'll notice they have these very plain kind of slopey roofs going in several different directions, often also made out of a dark material. And on top of that, you'll notice these really cool kind of like patchwork designs where you have a bunch of like vertical and horizontal wooden bars laying across the front walls, giving it a really cool kind of like almost a checkerboard design. And now that you know what some of the most defining characteristics of a Tudor house are, let's take a look at our first way to build the very simple, very survival friendly, very basic Minecraft Tudor house design. Okay, here we have our first build. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, dude, come on, this looks so lame. And you would be totally right. Remember that the point of the first build is to show off a really bare bones, almost like a minimalistic version of the concept with really just a few of the bare essentials that can make it identifiable as a Tudor house. So really all we've got here is a first floor with a couple like wood pillars, some dark windows, and a wall that's made up of some sort of like, red brick kind of texture. The second floor like overhangs a little bit, but really it's pretty flat on both sides. Is missing a lot of detail. It's like, some white texture. I'm really just using diorite and calcite because both of those are really easy to find. And then we've got a really basic deep slate tile roof, 45-degree angle pattern with the stairs. I'm sure you could build this in like a couple of hours in survival. Really the only hard thing to find here, unless you get really unlucky finding dark oak, would be like getting red terracotta and brick, and maybe like a lot of deep slate for the roof, but really like you could get that in a pretty short amount of time. But don't build it, because it looks really dumb and lame. Now, what would happen if we went in the complete opposite direction and we made something insane and huge and ridiculous and full of detail? Let's hop over to build number 2. Alright, with this behemoth of a house, I decided to go in the complete opposite direction. You'll notice every little facet of this building is totally packed with detail, whether you're looking at the block gradient going from polished diorite up to diorite to calcite and then up to white concrete powder, whether you're looking at the roof, which has these like gothic spires and points coming out the top and a border of a slightly different color of deep slate and these tiny little fence gates, or maybe you're looking at the windows and the many different little flares and detailed designs on all of these little subsections and compartments over on the back. We've got some fence and gate work, we've got some sign and trapdoor work over here, and of course we've got windows, we've got rectangular windows, we've got bigger Circular windows, got a whole bunch of texture variation down here on the ground floor. We've even got a custom like front patio landscape kind of thing going on here to give things a little bit more color and a little bit more interesting dynamicness here. We've got some regular stone up here on the roof, right, in the form of these two chimneys, which are belching out some smoke, and down on the bottom here on these side rooms over here, there and there. We've got two different designs with a different block palette using brick, terracotta, granite, and a bunch of spruce for just a little bit more color. Yeah. This build is nuts. And I mean, I really like it. Like, this thing is really, really cool, and I would love to try and build this in survival sometime, but it's too big. It's so jam-packed full of detail, and most of it is just really, really impractical, right? Like, the sheer amount of deep slate you would have to farm up for this massive roof, in addition to all the dark oak, all the different kinds of glass, black stone, and then like coral and stuff. So yeah, what if we found a bit of a middle ground, right? What if we had a build that was not as huge as this, but still retained some of the details and more interesting like texture work here? Let's go take a look at our last way to build the Minecraft Tudor house. And here we have the last of the three, the middle ground, what I think is the most balanced approach to making a Tudor house in Minecraft. So as you can see, it's definitely bigger than the small one we made earlier, the basic one, but not by that much, right? Like, it's still totally dwarfed by the large one. However, what it lacks in size and like total square footage, it definitely makes up for in the amount of detail. You'll notice that I've got many different designs going along the second floor here, stairs and fences and trapdoors and everything, just to add little bits of texture and depth, especially in like the windows here where we've got them very much inset. You can see on the right hand side here, we've got a little bit of an extension poking out, right, where we've got the inner white plaster wall like kind of bulging out, which if you remember was actually very common on a lot of real life Tudor house designs. And then down on the first floor we've got another window. When people make Tudor houses, for whatever reason, they really like these big dark like stone first floors with these large checkerboard windows on the side here, and I kind of have it, you know, bulge out a little bit because normally the rest of this foundation level is pretty inset. So the, you know, the roof is still a standard 45-degree slant, which I know is pretty similar to the basic one we just looked at earlier. However, a lot of these Tudor houses really don't have like super crazy elaborate roofs, you know, they're meant to be practical. Even still beyond that, I've got a little bit of flair here with these kind of alternating elements poking down, and you can see I've got them up here too. And yeah, overall I think this build is really great. Not too big, not too small, not too bland, not too overly detailed, just right. And before we finish things up for today, why don't I give you guys a quick little building tutorial on making this house. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be doing a building tutorial for every video that I make in this series, but I think it could be really nice now that I've shown you guys my favorite design for this particular style to actually show, you know, like how I actually make the build. You know, it would probably make sense. And without further ado, let's begin. Alright, to start off, you're going to take a mixture of deep slate, cracked deep slate bricks, and regular old deep slate bricks, and you're going to make a foundation footprint that is 9 blocks by 11 blocks. Alright, so once you have a 3-block high foundation, you're going to take your stripped dark oak wood and do a ring around 1 block up and 1 block outward. And go ahead and put dark oak signs around all of them. Then you're going to take regular non-stripped dark oak log and go to each of the corners here and go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Now underneath, to ease the transition between the deep slate and the dark oak, make that a little bit more smooth, we're going to take stairs and we're going to take trapdoors. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with the stair here and there, and then alternate stair and trapdoor. For the corners, you can leave these corners blank. We're going to go and make the inner white plaster walls, which are going to be made out of polished and regular diorite, calcite, and white concrete powder. And the idea here is that we're going to have a texture gradient. I'm sure you've noticed as I was building these that the messier, like dirtier textures like diorite are further down on the bottom, and the cleaner ones that have, you know, less noise are higher up on the top. take some dark oak buttons and put them here and here, right? Like on the outer two faces of these logs on all four sides. And now it is time to start putting in the big fancy wall details. So you can see on the front here, I've got this big rectangular window. So we're gonna take stairs and trapdoors, and we're gonna go nuts with this design on the front. All right, with the front done, we're gonna be looking at the left-hand side now. And for this design, I've got these really cool patterns right here. So we need dark oak planks, fences, trapdoors, and stairs. And let's go do that. The back is pretty simple. We're just going to be taking some trapdoors and signs and making this cross pattern right here. There we go. And last but not least, we're going to be tackling this right-hand side, which is a little bit trickier, but bear with me because it's going to look really nice. So take your stairs and trapdoors like before, but you're also going to take white stained glass panes and light gray stained glass panes, stairs facing inward on both edges, and then we're going to do the same thing up here. Do your little trapdoor shenanigans like usual. And now you're gonna actually bring this outward. There we are. I know it looks very unfinished right about now, but we're gonna add in the roof and then things will make a lot more sense. Grab some fences and gates, and every time there's a full block here, you're gonna put a fence. And every time there's a stair, you're gonna put a gate. Bring that up by a couple blocks like that. And once you have this design right here, go ahead and fill in the back with more white textures. Notice that we're not using any polished diorite, and we're actually being very skimpy with our regular diorite. These walls are so much higher up in the build that it doesn't really make sense to use the lower down, like blockier, messier textures. You know what I mean? There we go. And now we're going to do a very similar thing on the back here. And then over on the right hand side here, we're going to cheat a tiny little bit and put in a few roof blocks before we actually begin on the roof section. And that is really just because we need these right here to do this whole upper layer up there. And there we go, all taken care of. Keep in mind that we're using full glass blocks here and not panes, but it's the same checkerboard pattern with the same colors. And one more thing before we get onto the roof, we never actually went and detailed the foundation level, so let's go do that. You're going to need some deep slate brick walls, cobbled deep slate walls, a few slabs and stairs, spruce actually, for once we're not using dark oak. And you're also going to need a few different shades of darker glass like black and gray. Starting with the front here, you're going to carve out a 3x3 area just like that. Put in your walls and then your stairs and your slab like that. Grab a dark oak slab that I completely forgot to mention and put 2 right there. Then go in on the inside and do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then a spruce door, one more trapdoor at the top, and flip them all up, and there you have your inner door. Looking very nice. On the right hand side here, we have a little bit of like an alcove with a little bit of stair and slab action going on. Just, you know, you could use this for storage, put some chests, or maybe like a smelting thing out here. Entirely up to you. I just think it adds a little bit of depth to this side of the wall because it really doesn't have any on its own. You can see this is pretty flat and boring. And then of course on the left hand side, right, we've got this whole like bulge thing going on out here by 1 block. The middle 7 columns of blocks right here, and just bump them all out by 1. Put in a couple walls just to round out that block transition a little bit. Same goes for the inside here. Gonna put in a couple walls because in the middle here, this 2x3 area is going to be glass. And then of course you just got another wall behind it. It's a pretty pointless window, so you know, don't forget to get rid of that. And now for the final touch, which is of course the roof. Gonna start putting down some deep slate tile stairs right here. Just go all the way across. Make sure it's overhanging by 1 block. Roofs almost always look better with a little bit of overhang, and this is no different. And while you're at it, don't forget to flesh out the undersides of the roof with another row of stairs just on the bottom like that. Looking very nice. So you got your row of tiles on the top, and you can go ahead and put a couple more in there just to make sure there aren't any weird little holes in your build. And of course, now we go back and we fix up this weird little hole in our roof, which is of course, you know, the side area with this additional window and everything. Oop, I broke a thing I didn't mean to break. And then for a last little bit of flair, go ahead and take some tile slabs, and on every other block, you're gonna create this cool little, like, you know, almost like a crown molding pattern. I don't know how to describe it, but you can see exactly what I'm doing. This is totally optional, but if you want to, don't forget to do a little bit of texture mixing. I'm using the deep slate bricks, but you can use really any other texture you want. And there you have it, my ideal balanced Minecraft Tudor house design. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and of course you enjoyed the build tutorial as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on the video down below because it is really helpful for small creators like me. And until next time, this has been Leon, and I will see you all in the next 3 ways to build video. It feels weird saying that. 3 ways to build video. Take care, my dudes.